Hello my schoolers, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra. Right here we'll be tackling English Literature JAMB past questions for the year 2019. Don't go anywhere, stay with us and we'll be right back. To my school channel. Right here we'll be tackling question 21 to 40. Now let's begin with question 21. A struggle between opposing forces in a story/play is dash. Option A, denouement. Option B, conflict. Option C, comedy. Option D, tragedy. The answer to this question is conflict. Conflict is a struggle between two opposing forces or party. Okay, the struggle to gain dominance or prominence in a particular situation. Okay, so option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 22. The second stanza of Awono's Anvil and the Hammer dash. Option A deals with the conflict between African traditions and westernization. Option B deals with the disregard for African tradition. Option C offers solutions to the conflict between African traditions and westernization. Option D advocates for a radical change in the perception of Africans about their culture. The answer to this question is option C, offers solution to the conflict between African traditions and westernization. Now, why is that so? First and foremost, we know that Kofi Awono's poem is about the clash of culture that has been influenced by many years of civilization. That is, the exposure to civilization has made many Africans struggle for cultural identity. So we see that the second stanza of this poem, precisely line 1 and 2, states that, as I will quote, "So the old days for us, our father, that we may wear it under our new garment." Now, this new garment talks about civilization, okay, and it's talking about our old days means our African culture. So this poem's solution to the clash of culture is that we want to wear the civilized look. We can wear the civilized look rather, but then we want to have the culture, the African culture, buried in our hearts, buried in our minds. We want to exhibit African culture in our behaviors, but then we might look civilized. So that is the solution the poet is preferring to the readers or his audience. Okay, so we want to look civilized, but then in our minds, we want our minds to be African oriented. We want our minds to be tailored towards the African ways. So option C, therefore, is the correct answer to this question. Question 23. The dominant mood in Tennysons Crossing the Bar is that of dash. Option A, acceptance. Option B, anxiety. Option C, uncertainty. Option D, readiness. The answer to this question is option D, readiness. Now, why is this so? Now, this poem by Tennysons Crossing the Bar is about accepting death. Okay, instead of fearing death, we should accept death. We are aware of it, it's going to happen to everybody, and so we should just embrace it instead of fearing it. Now, that is the poem in summary. But then the question says the dominant mood. Now, first of all, I would like to differentiate between mood and tone, because these are two conflicting issues in literature. Now, when we talk about mood, we're talking about the feeling we readers get or the audience gets when they read a book or a literary work. The feeling you get. But then when we talk about tone, tone is the writer's attitude, or it is set by the writer. Okay, the writer determines this tone. Okay, but the mood is for the readers, the tone is for the writer. So if this question is asked the tone, we would choose accept. Okay, the writer wants us to accept. Okay, but this is talking about mood. How do we feel when we read this poem? Now we see that after reading this poem, we are ready to accept death. We are ready to embrace it. We are prepared because the writer has told us not to be scared of it, to just accept it. Okay, so we feel ready. We feel prepared to embrace the facts, okay, to embrace it and not to fear it. So option D is the correct answer to this question. Question 24. Iagos' hatred for Othello is deep-rooted because dash. Option A, he accused Othello of stealing. Option B, he loves Desdemona, who is married to Othello. Option C, Othello is a better warrior than he is. Option D, Othello didn't make him the lieutenant. Now, the answer to this question is option D, Othello didn't make him the lieutenant. Now, in this text by William Shakespeare, we see in page 1, Iago having a conversation with Rodrigo and explaining why he dislikes Othello, which is because he wasn't chosen the lieutenant. Cassio was appointed as a lieutenant instead of himself. And we see him in page 2 expressing disloyalty, talking about him following Othello because he just wants to serve his turn upon him. He also says that we all cannot be masters, nor every master should be truly followed. So we see him expressing dishonesty in this act in scene 1. And then in scene 3, we see him using the word I hate the more. So the more is Othello, and he expressed it that I hate the more. Part of which includes the rumor about Othello having an affair with his wife Emilia. And we also see that it wasn't even concerned if the rumor was true or not. He had this hatred for him to start with because he wasn't made the lieutenant. So he was willing to accept every other reasons, be it true or not true. Okay, so option D therefore is the correct answer to this question. Question 25. The narrative technique adopted in Bayo Adebowale's Lonely Days is that of dash. Option A, a second-person narrator. Option B, a first-person narrator. Option C, an omniscient narrator. Option D, none. The answer to this question is an omniscient narrator. It's also called the third-person omniscient narrator. Okay, this is where the speaker talks about someone else. So we look out for pronouns like he, she, they, them. So these are under the third person. But when we talk about the second person narrator, we know we are talking about you. The pronoun you look out for you. Then option B, first person, it is I, we, us. So option C is the correct answer to this question because in this text, the pronoun used as he, she, they, them, and all of that. Option C, therefore, is the correct answer to this question. Do not forget to take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions. All you need to do is click on the link in the description below. It takes you to my school website there. You can download my school mobile app for your Android phones and my school software for your computers and laptops. Go ahead and download this and start practicing. Now, moving on to question 26. The species of conflict exemplified in the native son is that of dash. A, man against society. B, man against nature. Option C, man against culture. Option D, man against man. The answer to this question is option A, man against society. Do not forget that this text is written by Richard Wright. In this book, we see a society with no regard for man, especially if the man is black. We see a society that has no regard for the blacks. We see a society where oppression and racism are predominant. In this novel particularly, we see that Biggie's case is already decided even before it ever goes to the court. So this is a society that has a terrible inequality criminal justice system. Okay, so option A is the correct answer to this question. So it was Biggie against the society that discriminates, a society that do not have regards for the black, a society that oppresses the black. So option A is the correct answer to this question. If you like this content, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 27. Amadako's Faceless may be best described as a dash. Option A, travelogue. Option B, satire. Option C, lampoon. Option D, tragedy. The answer to this question is satire. Satire is meant to depict, expose, or criticize something. It could be for its foolishness in a ridiculous manner. Okay, so this novel is a satire because it talks about or it depicts children who are driven into the streets due to poverty or parental neglect, and we see examples of children like Baby T and Fofo in this novel. Now, lampoon is directly is a direct criticism, okay? It's a public and open, a direct criticism, okay? So lampoon is a type of satire, but it's an harsh type of satire because it is directly said in a public place or in a public manner, okay? The answer to this question is option B, satire. Question 28. You can call me a rebel, but I need a job. That's what matters to me. The repercussion of this statement by our law is a pointer to the theme dash. Option A, of corruption. Option B, that patience is a virtue. Option C, on unemployment. Option D, of redistributive justice. The answer to this question is patience, that patience is a virtue. Now, this text is written by Frank Ogodo, titled Harvest of Corruption. This statement was made by our Lord to Ogeyi after encountering Ochole, who is termed as a wayward girl. She offered to put in words for Aloo to get a job or secure a job at her workplace at the Ministry of External Relations, with Chief acting as the Minister of External Relations. Now, when you take a look at this statement, you see that the speaker is desperate and the speaker is impatient. And the repercussion, that is the consequences of this statement, is seen with the humiliation Aloo suffered for drug trafficking and a pregnancy, and which led to her death. Now, if she had heeded to Ogeyi's advice to be patient and not to take the job or not to be friends with Ochole, she would have avoided this tragic end. Okay, but she didn't, and so she died at the end of it. So we learned that patience is a virtue from these happenings, and it is a theme, it is a message. Okay, so option B, therefore, is the correct answer to this question. Question 29. A short poem that expresses an idea in a clever way is called option A, an epigram. Option B, a limerick. Option C, an ode. Option D, a lyric. Now, the answer to this question is an epigram. An epigram is used to express an idea in a clever way. A limerick, the purpose of a limerick is to cause one to laugh. Okay, it's comic in nature. Okay, that's comic elements. Ode is used to glorify or praise something or someone or an event. A limerick is a musical verse that conveys powerful feelings. So option A is the correct answer to this question. All options are short in nature, but option A expresses idea in a clever way. Question 30. Adeoti's ambush may be best described as dash. Option A, prosaic. Option B, lyrical. Option C, analogical. Option D, metaphorical. The answer to this question is option D, metaphorical. Now, first and foremost, Adeoti's ambush is a four-stanza poem, and it talks about, or it describes, how dreams and aspirations of many Nigerians are shattered because of some political class who believe the national resources are their right or their personal inheritance. Okay, so this poem is metaphorical, and we see that in the poem, the lines of the poem. It has a four stanza, but then we see the first, second, and third stanza beginning with a metaphor. For example, the first stanza begins with the land is a giant's whale. The second stanza, the first line in the second stanza begins with the land is a saber-toothed tiger, and then the third stanza begins with the land is a giant hawk. So all these portray the socio-political problems in Nigeria. Option D, metaphorical, is the answer to this question. Question 31. The most dominant poetic device used in Okara's piano and drum is dash. Option A, metaphor. Option B, symbolism. Option C, pathetic fallacy. Option D, analogy. The answer to this question is symbolism. Now, symbolism is the use of symbols to represent an idea or quality. So from the title itself, piano and drums, piano is used to symbolize or is used to represent the Western culture, while drums is used to represent the African culture. So from the title, we could even point out the use of symbolism. So option B, therefore, is the correct answer to this question. Question 32. In Lawrence The panic of growing older. Another significant theme therein is on the dash. Option A, fear of natural disaster. Option B, uncertainties of life. Option C, futility of war. Option D, essence of mankind and nature. The answer to this question is option B, uncertainties of life. This poem is actually about uncertainties of life that comes in the hope of an expectation of wanting a successful future. We all have plans for our lives. At so age, we want to have this. At so age, we should have built our houses. At so age, we want to get married and have this amount of kids, this number of kids rather. But then as the years goes by, these plans don't work out, life gets in the way, and then life has a way of restructuring our plans, and then we start to panic. So this talk about the uncertainties of life. A lot of things will happen and we start panicking. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B. It is one significant theme in Lewis Peter's poem, The Panic of Growing Older. Option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 33. The withdrawal of rest from man, according to George Albert in The Pulley, is particularly because option A, man by nature has the tendency to be lazy. Option B, of the need for human survival. Option C, God wants man to feel less of himself. Option D, of the space for God's worship. Now the answer to this question is option D. Now why is this so? I'd like to give a little summary of the poem. Now, God gives man everything. He gives man wisdom, strength, and so many other things. But then he withdraws the gift of rest simply because God in this context feels that if man have rest, they will forget God and go to rest. Okay, they'll feel they've achieved everything, they have everything, and they can rest and be satisfied. Now, the reason why God withhold rest, according to this poet, is because he wants man to continue to love him, to always reference him, to worship him, to always run to him. Okay, so this is God wanting to be supreme, wanting to be loved, wanting our attention as well. So that is why he has withheld, or he has held on to rest. So we can see that this fits the context of God's worship. So what with worship comes referencing, with worship comes we loving and giving attention to God. Okay, so option D is the correct answer to this question. Question 34. Blake's The Schoolboy advocates for dash. Option A, a fine balance between work and pleasure for a child's development. Option B, the liberty of a child to explore nature and life without restraint. Option C, the promotion of the culture of excellence in a child's academic endeavor. Option D, a proper disciplinarian culture for the training of a child. Now, the answer to this question is option A, a fine balance between work and pleasure for a child's development. Now, this poem, The Schoolboy by Blake, is a poem that begins with an happy child, an happy schoolboy who enjoys nature, who enjoys the company of the bed. But afterwards in this poem, we see that the child is unhappy because he has been denied his freedom and has been placed under a cruel teacher. The poem says he has to go to school, and so he doesn't like it because he has to be put under a cruel teacher or headmaster. So what Blake advocates is the child should be allowed to enjoy his freedom. The childhood is the sweetest aspect of a person's life. It is the most important aspect also, and so a child should be allowed to explore. A child should not be forced to go to school. There should be a balance between schooling and enjoyment. A child needs to enjoy himself as a child, and this joy he derives would shape his adult life. If a child is not happy, or he spends his early childhood being sad or moody, this mood or these characteristics becomes part of him in the adult life. So we see that option A is the best answer to this question. Question 35. A significant literary device employed by Morris in The Proud King is that of dash. A, suspense. B, nemesis. C, agon. D, interlude. The answer to this question is option B, nemesis. Now, this poem by Morris, The Proud King, is a poem of 756 lines. A very long poem, but the good news is it's a story similar to the story of King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon in the Bible. So we see the King Haggai, who became angry hearing the priest say that it was possible for the rich to become poor and the poor to become rich. And this was a passage or message gotten from the scripture. But then the king ordered him to be imprisoned, and then that passage should be torn out from the Bible. So this happened, and then after so many years we see that this particular thing happened. This scripture happened. It happened in the life of King Haggai. He became poor. He actually became a beggar, and not just a beggar, a servant to a beggar. So you can imagine how poor he became. So option B is the answer to this question, because nemesis means an unescapable agent of someone's downfall. Okay, so it's something you cannot escape from. It's something that will surely happen. Okay, option B therefore is the correct answer to this question. Do you have questions you would like to ask? Please feel free to use the link in the description below. It takes you to my school website. There you can ask as many questions as possible, and solutions will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now moving on to question 36. A law begins a harvest of corruption when dash. Option A, she found out the truth about Chief Adiamaka. Option B, she discovered she was 3 months pregnant and abortion was impossible. Option C, her best friend warned her about the deceitfulness of Chief Adiamaka. Option D, she eventually died after giving birth to a baby girl. Now the answer to this question is option B. She discovered she was 3 months pregnant and abortion was impossible. Now option B is regarded as the best option because Alo put herself in what she described as a lamb being slaughtered on the altar of corruption. Okay, following the incident of her arrest, Gaye advises her to pick up herself and she could start all over again. But then right there she discloses to her that she is pregnant and she has started a harvest of corruption, and as she puts it, she would reap in 100 folds. Okay, we can find this in page 58, scene 4. Okay, option B is the correct answer to this question. Do you have better explanations, solutions, or steps to any of those questions? Feel free to use the comment section below. Indicate the questions and the solution you would like to share. Question 37. The metaphorical significance of Frank Ogodo's harvest of corruption is seen in the theme of dash. Option A, corruption. Option B, unemployment. Option C, retribution. Option D, betrayal of public trust. The answer to this question is retribution. So we can see that the theme retribution points out to the repercussion of the activities carried out by, or the corrupt activities carried out by the likes of Ochole, Alao, Chief, Adiamaka, Madam Oa, and others. We see that these people were punished for their crimes. Okay, so we see the theme of redistribution is the same or similar to harvest of corruption. So option C therefore is the correct answer to this question. Question 38. The voice of reason in the harvest of corruption is exemplified in the character of dash. Option A, Ochole. Option B, Ogeyi. Option C, Madam Oa. Option D, Alao. The answer to this question is option B, Ogeyi. Now why do we say so? The voice of reason means that particular character that has the ability to think, that has good sense of judgment, that understands and give good judgment to things generally. So we see that this character is in person of Ogeyi. The writer characterized Ogeyi with these attributes. Okay, she is seen constantly giving advice to Aloha, and we see that she is the voice of reason in the text. Option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 39. The characterization of Othello may be pointed out in that dash. A, he remains at a distance from much of the action that concerns and affects him at the beginning. Option B, he refuses to appoint Iagos as the lieutenant. Option C, although he is a cultural outsider in Venice, his military skills are valuable to the state. Option D, Iagos sees him as an enemy. The answer to this question is option C, although he is a cultural outsider in Venice, his military skills are valuable to the state. Now in this text we discover that, or we observe that he has a different skin color We observe Othello has a different skin color. We know that he is a foreigner. We also know that he is a reputable military personnel. We also know that he is the general in the defense force of the city of Venice. So all this, we see that these are characteristics in option C, as I have mentioned. Okay, option C therefore is the correct answer to this question. Question 40. The setting of Shakespeare's Othello is dash. Option A, Verona. Option B, Venice. Option C, the Faroe Island. Option D, Bulgaria. The answer to this question is option B, Venice. Okay, when we talk about setting, we're talking about the place and timing of a literary work. From the very first act and scene of this text, we see that Venice is mentioned in this text, and it is situated in Italy. Okay, so that option B is the correct answer to this question. We've come to the end of this segment, and I believe you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we upload the next videos.